Hello there, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, all of whom are loved and welcomed in this space. And welcome to a brand new episode of the Bad Betches, the only Bad Batch focused discussion show hosted by the Imperial Senate Podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Ashby, and joining me, as always, are my beloved co-hosts, Nicky Kumar and Claire Dribbling.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Hello.
Welcome.
Willkommen,
show.
everyone. How is everyone?
Good. Just vibing, that summertime sensation.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a quick shout out. I guess I'm going to out myself on a live stream.
Shout
Wow, this is amazing. We should monetize this somehow.
Shout out to a kid from my high school who I had a crush on, who today is in Tokyo competing in the men's triathlon. So
Jesus.
You go, Kevin McDowell. There you go. You didn't know I had a crush on you in high school,
also
but I did.
A crush on Kevin McDowell.
Revelations left and right.
I'm Spartacus.
Charlie, are you also Spartacus? Please also be Spartacus.
I'm gonna have a look. I'm gonna Google this and then I'll let you know.
Oh, okay.
I'll be the trifecta potentially.
The trifecta, the triathlete.
Who's this? What's his name?
Kevin McDowell. Okay, why are we doing this right now? Anyway, 5:45 p.m. Central Time. He runs and bikes and swims. So
he
USA,
does three things.
He does three things.
Remember what they are, but he does three of them really well.
So yay, USA, baby! Woo!
Olympic fever is taking over.
Dude, I watched ping pong yesterday.
There you go.
I watched beach volleyball. I've been vibing. I watched some swimming. I love the Olympics, although it's kind of dumb that they're happening right now. But I love the Olympics stuff.
I only show up for the 100-meter and 200-meter sprints because I need things quick, and there's always just like such a great like atmosphere for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like all the showmanship of that event. People are like, yeah, I'm gonna do my shit for like 9 seconds, and then it's like that. I trained for years for 9 seconds. I love that.
It's amazing. And I will say, but I gotta say, if you guys saw the New Zealand basketball team doing the haka before their game with Team USA, did y'all see that video? If not, I would just run. But still, it was very, very cool, and I would have been very intimidated. I'd be like, all right, I'm just gonna go now.
The haka is fun, yeah. But I feel like people like it doesn't work like all the time.
No.
Like
also,
it's great as a thing, but yeah, it's like people, I don't know.
I don't know about you, Nicky. Obviously, like you lived in the UK for a while, and obviously we've got family members and everything. It's also one of those things you kind of just see regularly, particularly with the rugby team, who deservedly do it because they're really fucking good. Mm-hmm. So it's not really that special. In terms of okay, I think I might have sort of a whole no. What I mean in terms of like the basketball.
Yeah. Okay.
I do think it's funny when they do it and then like get one.
Lose, yeah, it's a bummer.
But no, I like it because like it's such a cool generational thing. Warriors of old have done it, and it's been passed down. I think that's cool, even if they aren't necessarily good at the sports.
Oh well.
No, it's awesome. We see technically it's canon to Star Wars nowadays. Tamora Morrison implemented part of it for the movements of Boba Fett. So, official Star Wars canon making its way into the Olympics.
There we go.
Pretty cool.
I didn't watch any of the Olympics actually. I watched the opening ceremony, and it was fine.
That's how I always feel watching the opening ceremony. Like, cool.
I'm biased. I thought the UK one was pretty good.
Y'all had James Bond with the Queen.
Was fire.
Yeah, and Danny Boyle.
Yeah.
So, it's gonna be a cracker.
I was incredibly drunk for Rio. Like so drunk. It was I always feel really bad because they're like, I was in London at the time, and it was people in our school program had a party, and they were just like really innocent, like, oh, we have a potluck, and like it's gonna be fun, and we're just watching the opening ceremonies. And I was like, okay. So then my friends and I rolled in, and we're like, we're like, fuck this food. Where's the wine? And yeah, we drank a lot. I think I personally drank by the end like 3/4 of a Fireball bottle.
Jesus.
Oh my.
Oh, it was pretty bad.
The acid reflux, I can feel the acid reflux I would be experiencing just thinking about it.
I think drinking should be an Olympic sport.
I've trained for this my whole life.
Imagine the medal ceremony. Like falling over.
Like a really drunken version.
Throwing up.
Well, the F1, they have champagne, and they're just like continuing.
I don't want to hear it. It's too loud, too bright. Get the shit off. Give me the medal. Let me go home. Let me go sleep on my anti-sex bed.
We'll see. We'll see about that.
Challenge accepted, Tokyo.
They really missed the point there. It's like, I feel like that's entirely the wrong people to be like, you can't do this. It's like their whole mindset is challenge accepted. Like, yeah.
I was really bummed out because when I saw what the actual design was of the beds, it was just my bed. And then I was like, oh, that makes sense actually. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Good old self burn.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really watched much of the Olympics. They did the there was like a really lame, indulgent opening song. Did you see the singing bit?
No.
They did a song, and they had like one person represent each continent, and there was like a Italian dude or Spanish dude for Europe, African singer, and the Americas had John Legend, which I thought was funny.
Oh, there we go.
Come on. He is the voice of America.
And guess which song they sang?
Oh no, what?
Party in the USA.
No, think it's all the same song, but think very indulgent.
Oh.
Coming together.
Come together.
Come together?
Close.
We are the world.
No, close in terms of the person who sang "Come Together." I think an indulgent song that was someone else sang it last year.
Oh, Imagine. Oh, that's lovely.
We don't need Imagine to come back. The celebrities already did it so perfectly last year.
I know,
and it was moving, and it cured COVID. So
I don't know if you guys saw this. This is the best thing about the opening ceremonies. So in South Korea, the broadcaster put photos up as the delegations came through that sort of like represent each country with them.
Oh boy!
Like,
oh no!
Like Italy, they put pizza, and Norway, they put salmon. Haiti, they put a fucking revolution. And then Ukraine, they put Chernobyl.
They couldn't.
Oh man, people are wilding out there, man. Pandemic's over. People are wilding.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Amazing.
Shout out to that intern.
Shout out to Roger in the chat. Pod racing needs to be in the Olympics.
Big facts,
yeah,
Roger.
there we go.
Yeah.
Big facts.
I mean, if skateboarding can be an Olympic sport, why can't pod racing?
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
Are you guys good at sports? Or were in school?
Depends on the sport.
Dude, I was
getting up out of bed.
Throwing shade. Just kidding. I was a 4-year varsity starter, man. I played softball. I was on varsity all 4 years, man. I kicked some butt.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Once upon a time. Could not say I'm athletic anymore, but there was a time.
I was a 400-meter runner.
Look at you.
There you go. Were you in a relay?
No,
Uh,
just a race.
I was on the tennis team in middle school,
Hey.
and I moved, and I didn't go on the tennis team. Yeah, fun stuff.
We're doing ISP sort of Olympics at some point.
Yeah.
ISP Olympics would be the wildest shit show of all time.
ISP.
ISP drinking in the.
Yes, I was gonna say we need to do a Star Wars Celebration Anaheim ISP Beer Olympics. It needs to happen.
Oh man, we're all gonna be walking around with boot glasses.
That'd be amazing.
The hat.
The beer drinking helmet. Yeah, we need some of those.
The third day, it's just gonna have like really gassy hosts.
There's gonna be a lot of burping, which normally only happens before the stream to annoy Charlie.
It's true. Well, you say that like you're not holding it all in.
Always. Never not. Very gassy person over here.
Yeah, if you hug Claire, she just releases
just like
air.
Something like that.
But yeah, speaking of releasing stuff, we had to release an episode of the Bad Betches in which we talk about the Bad Batch. So why don't we jump into this week's episode, which was called Infestation.
Bam.
Boom.
Now, when you saw that title, what went through your head?
Geonosians.
That
was, I'm like, are we going to Geonosis? What's this all about?
Flashback.
It's probably a rude thing to call sentient beings, but
it's like flashback to when there was a crabs infection going through the high school.
Oh. You thought that's what the episode would be about?
Yeah, the Bad Batch gets crabs.
Oh, Hunter!
I knew we should have taken that mission.
Sid didn't tell us about that.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What about you, Charlie? What do you think?
I don't know. I just one of those. It could have been anything.
Yeah.
Of course, this is one of those episodes I guess people will refer to as filler.
It's a filler night.
Yeah, that's enough. We don't want to get sued. Yeah, I was intrigued by the episode, and then when it started off, I was like, "Oh, this is really cool. This is really fun." Another mission where they land, and then we just go off and see where we go. We have a comment here, Omega, and Bad Batch got lice.
Yep.
You know?
Lice happens, man.
My Wrecker's the smart one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you gotta shake that head.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, you know, for his head, we don't know everywhere.
Yeah. We'll leave it at that.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
He's got a real mane down there. No, yeah, I thought this was really cool, and yeah, it's of course one of those things where we're coming off Hera and Ryloth, so it's gonna feel like an ebb. But I thought it was super cool. I was waiting for Sid to be like, we now have but one choice. We must face the long dark of Ord Mantell, because great Minds of Moria homage throughout that little sort of sequence in the middle where they're sneaking through the little hive at the end, and Wrecker drops he plays a classic Fool of a Took and drops the flashlight down the hole. And even just like the sort of ethereal noises, it reminded me a lot of when the goblins are like so yeah, I thought that was super fun. And then of course the cool expansion of the underworld and what's going on, right? I thought it was really cool. At least, so for me, I always saw the Pikes as like the least scary of the things, because it's like, we got Maul, we got the Mandalorians, we got Black Sun. Yeah, we know of like legends of the Phalian and whatever. And the Pikes were always just kind of like, oh, they're the weird guys. They were just like smoking, and Dooku like ransacks them, and Solo, Beckett's crew gets them pretty easily. But like this was cool because it was like we actually got to see them be very menacing and show people be really scared of them. So I thought that was kind of another cool sort of layer to add to the Pikes.
Yeah, they were pretty frightening this week.
Mm-hmm.
A little intimidating in their little honeycomb heads. Very frightening.
I mean, if that's what we call them, that's their original gang name. Wasn't as frightening?
The killer bees.
They're like, nice. We started off trying to sell some cereal, the honeycomb heads, and then we're like, drugs is where it's at.
Much more profitable that way.
Yeah. Well, let's start off with our first little banner. What we do usually, if you haven't watched this show before, is we go through the episode chronologically, or at least we try to. We might jump ahead a little bit, but who cares? So we'll start off with Sid's missing and new ownership. Mm-hmm. The Bad Batch lands on the... Hold on, where did I go? There we go. The Bad Batch lands on Old Mantell, and we find a very profitable bar, but no Sid. And no of those other two guys who... There was a really good comparison between those two characters and someone else. I can't remember what it was, but it was on Twitter, and I just... it's driving me crazy now. It was just two cinematic characters. I can't remember what... But there's like that traditional duo you see in films like Pirates of the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. There's the one with Mackenzie Davis and all that stuff. And yeah, I love it.
Which is like such a great trope that goes through... especially like older media and musicals, like they're usually like a gangster duo, but they're like, instead of being like intimidating gangsters, they're like goofy gangsters. That's like such a weird like recurring thing, like in musicals that happens. It's like, that's what I love about them, is that they're the weird odd couple duo who are like, we could be so tough, but we're trying to be, but we're not. We are very not.
Yeah, it's like a Laurel and Hardy's, mm-hmm. like a Rosencrantz and
Guildenstern, yeah.
It's very the two guys just sort of trying but failing miserably. Yeah. I was
the guards and Much Ado About Nothing. Yeah, it's classic.
I was really worried for them, actually. I wasn't sure how hard they were gonna go in on our new boss down in Sid's parlor. Because I was
also,
like, yeah.
Oh, sorry, you go first.
No, I was just again, like, it wasn't sure how scary they were gonna make him. Obviously, as we get to the end of the episode, we sort of unfold a little more with Roland, but like sort of on the outset, you're like, oh, am I supposed to be afraid of this guy or not? Obviously, we're Team Sid. But yeah, I was relieved the two guys made it out okay by all accounts.
Also, yeah, because we watched this week's episode of The Bad Batch obviously comes out on a Friday, and we also got another show coming back, Ted Lasso, mm-hmm. which had a very interesting pet moment. And so when I saw this episode, I was like, "Oh, we get 2 for 2."
Oh no!
Bye, Ruby.
Oh my gosh!
Danny Rojas.
Football is life.
Yeah, no, for sure. That was a very fun back-to-back to do. Just social, the headspace you get into.
Robert St. Clair says Sid is super nefarious. She does whatever she needs to do in order to save herself. It's only a matter of time before she sells the Bad Batch and Omega out to the Kaminoans or the Empire.
Oh no!
Interesting. I don't know if that's the case because I
don't see
like
it that way.
She risked her life this week to protect Omega. After Omega risked her life again to save her. So I feel like the joke, like the empty threats, will only go so far, and they're empty threats. I
think she actually likes them.
Yeah. Especially Tiny.
Yeah. So like, if something happens, I don't think it would be super nefarious. But I don't really see that as their relationship.
We also have Hannah G says this episode will be important later. Either Roland will be back later or to show Omega that being the angel that she's always willing to give, or to show that Omega being the angel that she is always willing to forgive people. remember even the space whales, Mad. Always remember the space whales.
Yes, I 100% agree, Hannah.
Greatest-
while
the
this was
greatest
not but yeah, while this was not like my favorite episode of the season, I still had fun. Like, you know, it's cool. Like, I had a good time. I'm not sitting here being like, this was the best thing I've seen this season. It wasn't close for me. However, I did have a lot of fun with it, and I do agree. I think that each of these filler episodes are going to come into play later. I think that we're going to see Roland. We're going to see Sid use her resources to help the Bad Batch, maybe, you know, save our brethren. I cannot talk today. Save their brethren on Camino. But I think, yeah, I agree, Hannah, 100%. Nothing is wasted. It all comes back eventually.
It's just the weirdest thing that we.
Oh, what's up, Jared?
How's it going? It's just the weirdest thing we all keep, or not. I won't say all. It's the weirdest thing people keep doing, year after year, show after show. This episode didn't mean anything. Like, it's like, can we not apply the lessons we learned show to show? Can we remember? Yeah, like nobody sets out.
Remember the silo.
Yeah, nobody sets out to waste time.
Mm-mm.
Like everything that happens is done with purpose. Sometimes you don't see the purpose immediately, and I think that's like the key. And even then, it's like people forget how to watch TV. Like you just said, I had a good time. Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Episode to episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes you don't need your mind blown everything, and like
Yeah.
because this isn't 10 episodes of premium television, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a cartoon.
And like the way that Netflix and other streaming services have changed the way that we expect to watch content, having it released week to week. Like I feel like if Bad Batch was all released in one chunk, thank God they didn't do that because we wouldn't sleep and we would have been dead. However, I think that if it was this season was released in one chunk, you'd be like people would be less willing to get annoyed about specific episodes, if that makes any sense, just because of how our brains are like, all of the content, I get it now, I binge it all, and I know everything. But that's not the world we live in anymore, and that's a bit of a shame because I think people would mellow out a little bit.
Yeah, and this is how the Clone Wars operated.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, remember when like you would wait a week and then be like, oh, that was a quiet episode. But most or a lot of people now have just gone either on Netflix or on Disney Plus or whatever and have been able to go through the whole thing. Like again, I don't have a problem with this arc, but a lot of people did have a problem with the droid D Squad, right? And imagine waiting week to week for you spent 1 week in the desert, and yeah, it's like sometimes things don't make sense until it's all together, and sometimes you don't appreciate those things until they are all together. Yes. So like, yeah, I don't know. It's the same It's the same conversation. It happens with every show. Yeah.
I would push it even further. You said about how people forget how stories work. I think people forget how life works. One of the criticisms that always bothers me is the
I have filler episode days. I really do.
They're relearning the same lessons. It's like, are you alive? Isn't that what life's about? Like, we do mistakes a lot. We don't always continually learn something, and then we're not robots. Like, go, okay, that was bad. I won't do that again. We're fallible creatures. Like, so
I feel very called out right now. Just kidding.
This is actually an intervention. No.
I had a feeling. It was about time, really.
The banner comes down. It's like
we're not actually live. No, like truly, like I just don't understand. Like people saying, but Sid already had this episode with Omega. I'm like, it's called strengthening an already pre-existing relationship. You don't have one experience with someone and then that's it forever. That's not how stories or life works. That's not what friendships are. That's not how people live. We do these things. We make mistakes. We learn lessons, and that's what stories are doing. They're there to strengthen the overall narrative of the whole situation. So I really don't understand that complaint in terms of Sid and like, but we've kind of seen this storyline already when they did the whole like. poker game thing. I'm like, not really though. That was them sort of opening up that little friendship, and then this is strengthening it to the point where she's willing to be like, I'm putting my life on the line to help you out. And then Sid's like, yeah, I'm going to go down that cavern to help this kid out who we love. Because that's how things work in real life. That's how emotions and attachments come across.
Yeah. And I do feel like that move to put herself in danger to do this, I think that was really showing, like, yeah, we know that Sid is fond of Omega based on that last episode with all of the Dejaric that she wins all this money for her and clears the Bad Batch's debt. But now it's like, it's more so than just, I like this kid. Sid is adopting Omega into her circle, her inner circle, which is not something that it seems to me a crime boss, I guess it's not really what she does, but sort of, it's just not something that typically happens for somebody who's that on guard for everybody. So I think that there's more growth in this than we've seen before, for sure.
Yeah,
totally. Before we move on, just to let everyone know that obviously you can ask us any questions. So if you've got any questions for us, ask and you shall receive. Just comment along on Twitch or YouTube or wherever you can watch us, and we'll answer you. So yeah, get those questions in. Next up, we have, speaking of new ownership, the boy himself, Roland Durand.
What a name.
What a voice.
Yep.
The voice of Octodad, for those who have played Octodad.
Like, is Roland Durand now an honorary DILF? Other than just a handsome Devilronian? Like, wow.
Devil I'd like to fuck.
I'd like that to be the devil on my shoulders, if you know what I mean. I don't really know what that means. I don't need clarification, though. I'm scared of what that would actually would entail.
Just roll with it.
Just rolling with it. Just rolling with it.
Got him.
Okay. Somebody stop me. Stop me, please. Stop me, please.
It was a great,
we're just gonna sit on that one for a little while.
And thanks. Also, if his crime syndicate that he's trying to create is not called Durand,
yes.
I walk out. I walk out. That is the name of the syndicate. I don't care. I don't care what you say. I would like to be a member of Durand.
Just not present in this part of the time.
Yeah, not here. Later.
It doesn't end super well.
Exactly.
Yeah, you want to come for the revival tour.
Exactly.
Yeah, and a really interesting guy. I wasn't sure how far they were gonna go in on him, because it's like, was he? I think obviously the relationship that he sort of happens by the end, I think indicates a much deeper sort of significance and role for the guy. But I mean, just from the outset, it was just kind of fun seeing this new presence, and sort of again continuing this theme of the show being, who's working in the shadows, who's operating off the new world order. And I think, just sort of seeing the way crime syndicates are now expanding and sort of stretching their wings out a little bit, even more with change is pretty cool. And you never know what happens with a upstart criminal. Unpredictability, baby.
I one of the things I love about this time period is that we do get a lot of crime syndicate stories and people flourishing and coming out of the woodwork, because it's such a breeding ground. The Empire and the birth of the Empire, such a breeding ground for these new criminal enterprises, because they're overlooked or they're being paid off, or we see this in real life as well. And so I love seeing these stories about these characters. And I think what was really interesting as well is kind of diving into the end of the episode, but I guess it's because we can talk about him in general for this section, is the idea, because usually when you see these stories, like the son trying to fulfill the role of the parent and taking over the family business, it's usually a paternal thing. Like, I'm taking over from my dad, I'm taking over from the father, it's not in this case. It's the mom that's in charge of the business. So
Badass mom.
yeah,
Mom's rock.
and the way that Sid sort of talked about that family seemed to suggest that she must be very one not to mess with.
Yeah.
So I'm very intrigued by that and the setting up there. I really hope we get to see that character appear in the future and who they could be potentially.
Yeah, there's a lot of good. I think just even throughout this show in general, there's been a lot of good implied history, and being like economic with what you say and what you show. And so yeah, I think it set up a really cool vibe. Just one line of dialogue, establishing this sort of background for this Durand family, and yeah, like, and what might drive this guy to make these bold moves and Jack Sid's parlor. So yeah, no, it was super cool, and then obviously, the sort of real kicker is once again Omega sort of breaks through the bullshit and sort of gets down. She's like, the spirit of Star Wars, right? Like she gets down to the basics, man, and she's like she knows how to appeal to people's better instincts, and she can break through the sort of the evil of the era and sort of show what kindness is, right? And I was actually worried for her in this episode, because I was like, is this eventually gonna bite her? Like, is she gonna be too kind to someone and it's just gonna not work? So I was a little worried, especially with the way they were hyping up the Pikes as big meanies, which they kind of were. But yeah, it was just a really cool development for this guy again, because I just starting off, I didn't know how far they were going to go in on him, and then they actually sort of turned the tables and make him pretty sympathetic.
Yeah, and Charlie, you brought up something that clicked another thought in my brain. You talked about about the story of the kid going into the shadow of his parents, and in a lot of those stories, what ends up happening is they want to fill the shoes of their parent, but then they end up finding their own path. And and I love that story is so. I love stories like that. I know we've seen them before. I don't care. I liked this one, and I think that Roland is going to start to find his own path, which is kind of cool, and hopefully help the batch out and Miss Omega again.
Yeah, I hope so too. I feel like that would be a good sort of antagonism between the mother and the son, potentially. Mm-hmm. We have a really good question here, actually, from Brent Age of Grogu, who says, "Hey everyone, so thoughts on how much the Bad Batch is going to go full on into the crime syndicates, or if this is just more set up for spin-off shows around the crime syndicates?" Now, I personally feel like this show is the perfect place to delve into those crime syndicates and that sort of seedy underworld. And then people are like, well, why are they delving into it there? And that's because, if anything, the Bad Batch are the soul and the spirit of Jango Fett's legacy, especially Omega. And he had the same sort of lifestyle, but he was an outsider who became entrenched in the underworld and then sort of flourished in it. And I feel like we're seeing the same sort of thing in the Bad Batch. And it's like he says, I'm just a map trying to make my way through the universe. They're making a living. I'm sure the Bad Batch don't particularly love going out and fighting Gundarks, but that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Yeah. So I think it's a great place for them to sort of explore this. And also, just the early years of the Empire is the perfect place to delve into this, because that's where they start to really flourish with the crime syndicates. And you see a lot of it with Crimson Dawn. Maul flourishes a lot in that little gap between episode 3 and 4. You see a lot of, the Hutts are basically not getting interfered with by the Empire that much. So yeah, there's a lot to delve into. And we see a lot of it in the OT trilogy.
I think for me, it's a yes and no. When it comes down to like full, I forget what was the phrasing, full on crime syndicates.
Yeah.
For me, not necessarily, because I think the Bad Batch has shown it can be a show that wears many hats.
Yeah.
And so I think, yes, it's a good place to do it. Do I want it to only focus on that? No, I don't. I want it to continue to be this story about clones, story about transition, story about rebellion, but then also, keep the crime syndicates as part of that as well. So I think it's, as far as like, do I want it to just be a crime syndicate show? I don't, but I think it can really use all that to continue to sort of on a multifaceted front expand this time period. And then the second part of that is like, pretty much everything is a jumping off point for another story. So yeah, I think that's always a good door to have open. And we see books, we see comics, we see other shows pop out of these things. So I think as long as the show keeps exploring its several ideas and serving as a launch pad for new ideas, then I think that's a pretty good space to exist in.
Yeah, I think you pretty much nailed how I feel about it, Nikki. I don't want this to become the crime syndicate show, although I do want to see more of that in this show. I think they're going to continue to give us little nuggets of information along the way.
Yeah, I agree as well. And actually, I feel like you've hit on it as well, which is very important. And I feel like not many people get, which is that these sections of the stories and different parts of it are like an ecosystem, and they all need each other to survive. Because people go, why can't we just have a bounty hunter story? Why can't we just have a Force story? And it's like, well, they all feed into each other. They all breathe life into each other. They all blend into each other. So I don't think we'll ever get like a purely thing. Like, I know when people are like, yeah, the Mandalorian's going to be so cool because it's going to be a full-on bounty hunter story. And then we had Luke Skywalker showing up and Ahsoka talking about Thrawn. Like one of those things where, and that's good. I think that's a good thing. I think the ecosystem, they all have to flourish. Like Han Solo has to be part of that underworld, and that underworld has to be bolstered by the Empire, which ultimately accidentally ends up being its undoing by the nature of Han being lifted up, and then also bringing that down with Ben Solo and stuff like that. So it all connects and it all breathes into things, and we see that in real life as well. It's all, everything's connected,
Yeah. No, I think it's funny because you see people with check marks and big platforms sort of, I don't know, like just talking bullshit when it's like I feel like this show has been really quite good at sort of like just to use the same phrase, wearing several hats, because it's sort of it's been able to touch on a lot of different aspects of the galaxy at this point. And is Rant the sequel coming? It might. Just to sort of go back on sort of a previous episode topic when we talked about people approaching this thing with, I didn't like it, so it did something wrong.
Yeah.
I saw somebody who we know, who will remain unnamed. I saw someone go on this little thing about how sort of criticism is being sort of like villainized by people, and just because you're criticizing something doesn't mean you're evil, and sometimes you just got to give the fair shake, and you got to talk about wasted potential. And then I was like, well, there's the problem right there. It's because you just said wasted potential, and the degree to which it's wasted are very highly subjective things.
Yeah.
And so like, I feel like there's just this weird line with people where they want to like be, they think they're like being straight shooting with it, and like they're sort of missing the point still. And it's like, I think the point of honest criticism, I think people think honest criticism is I have to say something negative, when that's not honest criticism. Like, honest criticism is having a dialogue with the thing and a conversation with the thing that evolves over time. It's why I think like we call these things reviews, but they're really just conversation one, right? Like, so I think, yeah, it's not about saying, you know, what are you, or how are you, as a show or a movie or whatever, how are you lining up with the thing I thought you were going to be about?
Mm.
And it should always be more, well, what are you saying, and what is the degree to which I connect with that? And I just feel like it's frustrating when people are, they have big platforms and they do this, right? There we go. Yeah, and exactly, Robert. And people do this, and their platforms shape narratives, right? And it's always like, it's this whole thing. Like, what did you think this show is going to be about? And were you wrong? And that's why you're like, well, this show's messing up. This show's just spinning in place. Or are you gonna like engage with what it is? And I think that's just like, again, rant 2.0. But I think that's a big part of what people expect out of this thing.
Yeah. And then if that thing is not what you connect with, that's fine. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. And then we just move on to the next thing, maybe the next show or the next things for you, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the point remaining, that's not something wrong with you, and it's not necessarily something wrong with the show. Like, it just is like, something doesn't necessarily need to be for you, and you don't need to take it out on the thing because you need to rationalize that for yourself. Like,
yeah, it's the bad faith argument. It's I get it too. Like, it's I think people forget what reviews are and what they are, and obviously reviews by their nature, and reviewers are giving their opinion, and that is based on contextual information. It's based on like life experience, blah 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 blah.
And there's snapshots in time.
There's snapshots in time.
Yeah.
And we are there to give our own opinion, but like you said, like it shouldn't be like this brush that's like, this is bad, and then this is how it could have been done.
Yeah.
That's where.
Yeah, that's not criticism. Like, that's not contributing anything. That's saying this is how I'm smarter. Like that's not what it's about. That it's about having a conversation with the thing and figuring out what it's about. And yeah, it's just weird. It's just weird that that's what people do. And monetizing opinions was a great societal L. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyway, sign up for our Patreon.
That being
it was an L, and we will take that L.
Yeah, but at least we're honest about it. We're losers. Exactly. We're openly losers.
Yeah.
I was about to say like yeah, but also if you're willing to hire a journalist, I'm here. I'm here to.
There we go.
Hey, there we go.
But no, it's the same. It's the same thing. What I say to you guys, like when people publish their lists of the Star Wars rankings, and I'm like, no one gives a shit. Like it doesn't matter. It's for fun. But when people are like, wow, really? It's like, who gives a shit? Like it literally means nothing. Especially like
in space.
Yeah, like the bottom one of mine would probably be like Solo or the Clone Wars movie. But that's still like a 3-star plus in my book. They're all golden. So it doesn't matter.
I always feel like whenever I want to do that exercise, I have to say, as of day, like, thank you, Matt. as of July 25th, this is how I feel, right? Like, that's the thing. Like I think so much about our Rise of Skywalker review, where we came out of that not too long after it, hot about different things. Like, I think I probably agree with 20% of what I said now. Like opinions change, and time changes things, perspective changes things. It's just a really weird thing people do where, it's like, especially when it's their job, to gotta throw an article out and be like, this is my review, this is what this is about. Bam. I said it, I won. I'm smarter than the writers. Like it's just a weird exercise. It's a weird dance we all go through. And I feel like I want to always try to make sure when we do this stuff, which like we don't do that. Like this is about engaging and thinking about it and allowing, you know, if we did Bad Betches 1.5 in a few months, like how do we feel differently? Like I feel like that's an important thing that people should do more.
Yeah.
You know, like
I feel like that's kind of on studios as well. That's why I feel like more studios and stuff should release episodes out for reviewers beforehand, because for people that don't know, that's kind of why we do the show like 2 days after it comes out. It's because we want that time to breathe. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but if you go on YouTube and search the Bad Batch on the day it comes out, there's going to be a million different reviewer reactions and regurgitations and complaints and porn, I guess, of some sort about that episode all coming out on the same time. We give ourselves a little bit of time to relax, and some reviewers obviously have to throw that out as soon as they can.
Yeah.
That is the way that culture and how stuff works.
It's a weird way to live. It's a weird way to live and like consume.
Yeah.
And like I'll sit here now and say still not enough time, right? Like I think it's so important to just sit with things and also make your own mind up, right? Like I think that's the other thing. It's like sometimes there are people out there who just like want to be told what to think. And it's like one of my favorite things was last week when I was off Twitter and I didn't get to see anyone's reaction to the episode. And I was like, oh, that was nice. That was fun. I like that. And then I come on here and I can just sort of say how I feel and not have to go through this like, well, this person said this. That's why I got to tell them to fuck off. This person said this. And it's like, it's just a weird thing we all do. I think introspection is important for any other fellow content creators out there watching this. I think we should always look at how we do things and what we do. And I think it's another weird thing when you see other content creators doing their critiques like that, because it's like, it just feels like, how does that reflect your art? Like if that's how you like go about looking at other things, how does that make yours? And like just to be flowery for a second about the craft of writing and stuff, like it's messy. Like it is messy and imperfect by design. Like creating anything, whether it's a script, a painting, music, like it is literally like slashing yourself open. Podcast is literally slashing yourself open, pulling something out from inside of you, slapping it on the table. Being like, this is me. This is my art. This is my passion. And it is by design imperfect. And I feel like when you get these people who treat reviewing and critiquing as well, this is how they did everything wrong. This is what I would fix. Like, I don't know how that affects what you make yourself, because I feel like there's such a big aspect of making something that has to be shoot from the hip and an instinct. And when you all you do is process pitfalls, you lose the ability to just fire off. And so it's weird. It's a weird cultural thing that's going on, and we should all think about it more.
Brent says, I have to admit, I've been having fun doing my first reaction videos to Bad Batch, all in fun. But I see it as a nice doorway for years to come on your original thoughts then and how they hold up. No, we agree.
I like that. It's the time capsule, and then over time you can dwell upon that. Yeah, and also reactions are just fun.
Yeah, we're not saying that reactions or reviews or anything like that. I mean, I do reviews and we do reactions.
I mean, so you're not, but I'll keep my own thoughts.
I think the thing is that there is a part of the industry and part of the way that things work is that, and it's not necessarily, it's a weird ecosystem of things, and it's, I don't know if you know this, but the YouTube algorithm is very fucked and very rigged and doesn't really work, and it only works for those that do a certain thing. You have to target a certain amount of videos, a certain amount of time. You have to do a certain amount of thing, which is why you see a lot of clickbait videos and clickbait titles, because that's what the algorithm likes. And funnily enough, if you follow into that,
the almighty algorithm,
then you annoy your audience base, or you pick up a new audience base, but you might not particularly like the audience base. If they just eat up anything, you probably don't really want them anyway. And you have, like, you kind of lose your identity a little bit. So it pushes creators who, it pushes creators into a certain pit.
Yeah, I just, again, yeah.
Monetizing
playground opinions.
I'm basing this off there's a really good YouTuber called Jazza, who's a artist, and I'm basically watched a video recently about them talking about this, because it happens to all of us, and I'm talking from my own personal experience of having to do reviews, and having to push something out. It's hard.
Yeah,
but when you have time, when you have a few days, like, have a little bit of pressure, you have a lot more room to put a lot of effort and attitude in it. So
and it's usually higher quality, and you feel better putting it out there. Like from the creator side of it, at least personally, you feel a little bit better when you have more time to dwell on it and feel like you've really ingested every frame of it, and you feel like your opinions are solid and not influenced by knee-jerk reactions. Always sleep on it. Or you make a big decision, sleep on it.
The game's rigged, is my point.
But we rigged it.
But we rigged it.
Yeah. It's weird. It's the weirdest thing that's happening.
The snake that eats itself.
Yeah. But yeah, I love how this whole thing happened with the topic Roland Duran. Just. But yeah, no, I think it's cool I think it's a fun sort of social, sociology thing that I think is healthy to reflect upon.
Yeah.
so yeah, it's a weird world, but anyway,
it's a mad world.
Yeah, we're honest about our mistakes. I feel like if you've watched any episode, you can see them quite frequently. Up next, we've got the Bad Batch, the Temple of Doom. I know you're talking about Lord of the Rings influences, but I feel like the latter part of the episode of the Mine Shaft is very much Temple of Doom inspired. Really enjoyed that.
And we shine the light on Aragog on the swarm of Aragogs in the sky. There we go, another Lord of the Rings reference.
Yeah, there you go.
Actually, that's a Shelob.
You're right. A fake fan.
But
big fan.
Big spiders.
Big fictional spider from a large fandom.
Is well taken, obviously.
Thank you.
But yeah, no.
See, this is why you need to sit and reflect on things before you talk out of your ass, like I like to do.
But yeah, no, absolutely. The whole thing with the carts was very, very Temple of Doomy, and instead of water, it was big bugs. But yeah, no, again, just great homage and great. It's what Star Wars has done so well for so long, of playing in sort of in these tropes, and sort of always seeing something from something else, whether it was like George Lucas watching World War II fighter plane videos or anything, like seeing something in another movie or in history and saying, what if that was Star Wars? And this definitely felt like that too.
Yeah, 100%. I even had a bit of Harry Potter in there, a bit of Prisoner of Azkaban. When the big light appeared, Orcife was like, Arresto momentum. you know,
Yeah.
or someone said Van Helsing, which is a reference I didn't think would be brought up.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The
I
big
think I see
light
that.
bomb from
Yeah.
Van Helsing,
Yeah.
Come on.
What
Yeah,
would
like-
you guys?
In the
What would
chase
you guys
part.
do with a light bomb? Just
What would I do
yeah,
with a light bomb?
it's one of those things that
Get arrested.
always feels so specific. But
Mhm.
imagine it when you throw it in the theater. IMAX opening night of Dune.
Oh my god.
Unleash the light bomb.
Jesus.
Or
It's just light FBI guy on the watching the stream. It's just light.
This light, literally
We're not
very bright light.
gonna do anything weird.
Nobody will be hurt, except maybe they'll have problems with their pupils adjusting for a minute.
that'd be a good Gremlins bomb. If you had to fight Gremlins
Oh yeah.
if they were real.
They're not real.
But yeah, I thought this whole sequence was really cool, just in general. Again, all the homage we talked about with the chase, but then also like at its core, it is a heist, and I think that always works so well with Underworld. It's what Solo is. There we go. Yeah.
Hey, there we go.
Yep. I mean, Solo's a heist movie. Underworld. Every great Underworld story involves stealing something, baby. I've been watching a lot of Fast and Furious also for the first time. Those are always heists, like for the most part. So yeah, it's always fun. I think that's always a great story, where you sort of put a team together and they all have different skill sets, and you go steal the thing. You go steal some spice.
You go take some stuff.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
Yeah, we have the really cool chase. We have the really cool high sequence. We get the spice back. I have to say, the Pikes aren't very good at dealing with people. They seem really pissed off, considering the fact that everyone they've dealt with seems to like fuck them over.
Yeah.
Like, that's okay.
They were surprisingly chill after having killed everyone. Right? Like they just offed the entire like security detail, and then like, okay, but just let us hang on to the kid. Kid's cute, so like we'll talk to the kid for a little bit, and then you go get our ship back, and then we'll let you go. Of course they do take their prize eventually, but yeah, no, it's pretty interesting, and once again, spice is at the root of a lot of problems for our heroes in Star Wars.
Truly. Stay off the spice, kids.
Absolutely. Yeah, you were speaking about their prize, and obviously their prize was half a horny boy.
Oh no! Ah, qué lástima.
I have to say, like that looked like that hurt.
Yeah, it looked like it did. That's like
It's
bone. That's bone sticking out of
yeah.
your head. They just sliced through your bones.
Also, you have to remember what else is bone? Teeth. So I can just imagine like the pain you get when you like chip a tooth, like a really hard pull.
Dude,
Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?
I don't want to get into like too many spoilers for books people haven't read yet, but
Oh boy,
there's been some amputations in stories recently that really hurt me.
Your spoiler for Star Wars is there might be some amputations.
No,
I got news for you.
I know what you mean, but very very specific.
Okay,
like this one.
Oh boy.
Oh dear.
And it's like, man, it's like what a like not that I have like the book on Deveronian culture, but like I assume losing your horn is no bueno.
Yeah.
As a societal thing, as a pride thing, as a
I thought the same thing.
That was pretty funny, rocking that Sylvie look. But yeah, it's almost, it seems like it would be like a mark of shame, to not have a horn, or to or like whatever, they're like cat whiskers and he like has no balance now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
boy.
But yeah, no, it's rough, and I think sort of still kept the brutality of the Pikes sort of front and center a bit, showing that even though they were pretty chill with the batch for like, okay, get our stuff back. It was pretty rough stuff for old Roland.
I think we should ship him with Vizago, and then their couple picture, because they got the opposite horns. So their couple picture could be like their heads together.
Yeah.
And so they got one perfect couple.
They're horn to horn.
They're two horn dogs.
Be amazing.
Jesus.
Two horny boys looking for a long-term relationship.
Get that on their space Tinder.
Oh my god!
I thought you were going to say that on a date back entry.
I mean, yeah. Who do we got to talk to at StarWars.com?
Oh my goodness.
Brent says, did you guys see the sideshow drops of the 12-inch Hot Toys figures this week? The Night Owls, Cobb Vamp, and Fennec Shad. I didn't.
Neither did I.
See those.
I saw. I think they didn't have like a great. It was like, at least for Cobb Vanth, it was just a shot of the thing on the shelf. Like it didn't have its like full press release sort of. This is every angle. But yeah, it looking nice. Tell you, man.
It's not hard
Hot
to make
Toys-
that man look nice.
Yeah, Hot Toys can. That's the other thing though. They did not show him with the helmet off. I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
So they're keeping that. They're keeping that until they can put out those high res images. I'm sure. Everyone can be like, "Oh, vapors." Ooh.
I will not regret what I said the first time that episode came out, is that I would like to take a bite out of that corn on the cob. I would very much like to. Meow, thank you very much. I will hold on to that for forever. I would like to.
You're just nibbling his whole body like you're chomping on the little...
I've got him sideways, the 12-inch figure just going...
like a beaver.
Like the typewriter in the movie, in the Looney Tunes.
Sometimes both sons shine on Womprat's tail, you know. And you get that sideshow collectible, and
just gotta take a bite.
Yeah,
ain't I
snuggle with it, and
keep him here close to me. And
ask it to call you, Senorita.
Oh my!
Claire just becomes like a full-on cartoon wolf doing the wolf like the mask.
Auga! Heart.
Wow. I didn't see any of the. I didn't see any of those, but I did see some of the other stuff that was out there. There was a high def picture of the box with Dave Filoni, which I thought was really cool. The Black Series toy. Just his little smug face, like, I'm a toy.
I'm a toy now.
You're gonna play with me.
I still think there's room for Black Series, just real life people. Like just it's just them. Like Black Series George. And like you get the art on the side. He's like, oh.
Do you think if for kids they're the new like when you ask for like a Star Wars figure and your mum would buy you like, or like an auntie would get you like a generic, like no offense, but like if you had I want a Star Wars figure and you wanted Anakin Skywalker and you got the Devaronian from A New Hope. It's like, Mom, I wanted Rey. You got me.
You got me Dave Filoni. At least you can put the hat on all the other characters, you know.
Like you put on your Christmas list. Little kid goes, "Dear Santa, for Christmas I want Boba Fett, Omega, and I want Rey, Finn, and Poe." Then the post, or they get the present, they rip over the present, and it's Keith Kellogg, the figure.
Hey. Oh man, what a life that would be. My favorite version of that was when obviously I was known to family friends as the Star Wars enjoying child, and for Christmas, sort of a loose family friend got me Captain Archer from fucking Star Trek Enterprise. And I was like, what the hell's this? Like, I don't know what this is. It's just some guy. It's Scott Bakula. I don't want this. Like,
oh no!
Like they like Star, right? Yeah,
like that Star show.
Yeah.
That space thing.
That was a.
You have Star Wars at home. Star Wars at home. It's Scott Bakula.
Yeah. That was a good example of that.
The best one I had, like the opposite, where you get the best of the worlds, was I got for Christmas Slave 1, but it was Jango Fett Slave 1 because it was when Attack of the Clones came out. And I went to my great auntie's house and they got us all presents, and I got the same Slave 1.
Oh,
so I
no.
got the same ship twice, and it was like,
Times.
I got 2 Slave 1s.
Slave 2.
But they were like, wow, like the Star Wars ship, and I was like, yeah, I love Slave 1. It's the Thiospro like ship, and it's used. And they're like, what the fuck? He knows everything. Weirdo.
Nerd.
I was the weird kid who's like, actually, in the comic books. I think. Oh, sorry, yeah, Matt. Thank you for pointing out
Jango Fett Starship.
Yeah,
Jango Fett Starship.
absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was a really cool ending to the episode. You get to see, you feel bad for Roland, you know, for one being called Roland, and also for his horn chopped off. But let's just go straight into our overall thoughts and scores. Who would like to go first this week?
I request direction.
Well, before we dive into anyone, I feel like we need to call someone out, and that is
Here we go. Oh, there we go.
Amiga and Lula.
And
She's bringing the Lulas out. She's asking for the count. She's got the basket. It's time to
Okay.
put them in.
Pay the
I feel
piper.
I feel like, do you know what? I'm going to shake things up this week. Do you know what I'm going to do?
You go
Ooh.
first.
I'm going to go first.
Here we go.
Oh, look at you.
I'm going to go back for the comments because this week on Star Wars Explains YouTube channel, Alex and Molly had our good friend Auden on to talk about this week's episode. And I put a comment on the show, which was one, a satire of people's complaints, but also my overall feeling, which was this from Matt. This episode ruined my life. 8 out of 10.
Yeah. Solid day spent. Solid half hour.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. This is actually a really fun episode to watch because I sat down to watch it with my dad, and he was like, because I woke up late. So he was doing the sort of like, oh, here we go, waking up late. And I was like, yeah, I know. And I said, I want to watch The Bad Batch. And he was like, well, I've already watched it twice today. I was like, oh, okay. Put it on.
There we
We're
go.
watching it together. He's staring intently at the episode. He goes,
Tell us what else he
I haven't seen
said.
this one.
Tell us what else he said. To be a proud son.
Oh, I'll so I'll get into that last because so we sat together and he was like, oh, I haven't watched this one. I must have watched the last one twice and like missed the week by accident. So he watched it with me, and it was like the first time I watched Star Wars with my dad for a little bit, like for a while. It was really nice, and actually made me feel like I was a little kid again. And and that's one of the things I think one of the reasons why I like the episode a lot is because it was like just me watching Star Wars with my dad. Really cool. He caught up with all the animated stuff recently. I don't think he's watched Resistance yet, or he's watched a little bit of it. But everything like the Clone Wars and Rebels, he's caught up on. The episode ends, he looks at me and goes, "Was that Vizago?" I was like,
Proud of you.
"Proud."
Wish it was. Good
And
thinking, though.
I went, "But it's not."
Oh.
Like it's not, but you a G still.
Yeah, I was like, "No, you earn my.
Yeah.
If what you said is true, you've earned my respect." So yeah, I feel 8 out of 10. I thought it was a really good, solid episode. I don't think really there was anything wrong with it. I just think it was a nice breather after a solid, action-packed 2 weeks of episodes. I feel like sometimes we need those little breathing space episodes to have. It doesn't mean that it's not great. It's just that I thought it was pretty decent. 8 out of 10. Very good in my books. Who wants to go next? Claire?
Sure. It's another one of those episodes that did some of my favorite things of the Bad Batch so far, which is really let you dive into the characters particularly. And they have such a strong asset in Omega, and I know that they've started to notice that and started to realize like, oh, she can come along the missions, but I don't think they really truly realize that yet how she and her impact on the people that they come in contact with is going to be what is the driving force that rallies the troops that's going to save them as a unit at the end of the day. Omega connecting with people is what's going to be it. That's my prediction, which is why I really enjoyed her chilling with Roland and his space pangolin and just chilling, like I just love anytime I get lovely Omega moments where she puts faith in people that you probably shouldn't. It's just makes me wish I wasn't so dead inside. Just kidding. But other than that, yeah, it was a breather. Yeah, it definitely was a breather episode. So I'm gonna give it. I enjoyed it. Not my favorite of the season, but I enjoyed it. I'm gonna give it, because of the lovely moments of humor and heart, I will give it a 7. A 7 out of 10. Lulas.
Oh, Sean Connery 7.
Sean Connery gives it a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Very good. Nicky.
I just love the idea of Omega being like the defibrillator to our dead husks of bodies. She's like, hello. She's like,
Claire,
come back to me.
You're worth something.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, for sure. Omega being the heart and soul of everything in this show it continues to be the strong point. Continued to shine beautifully in this episode. I think her willingness to always, even when the batch is apprehensive, her willingness to volunteer them for things and really test what their own humanity is, I think is continues to be awesome and just a great facet to the character. Again, Roland was great. Just the deepening of the underworld, of syndicates, of crime, of new allies, of, like Charlie was saying, adding layers to a relationship, and using new characters to sort of incite those layers. I think that's all super good and awesome, and it's a fun time, and I think it's going to set up some really interesting last three episodes of the season.
It's wild.
And then after you just heard me talk all that stuff about how we critique things, I feel like I still cannot apply a number to the way it makes me feel, to the way people have worked on it, to the way people have ripped out of their bodies and slapped it on the table. So that's why I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. 10 out of 10. I'm giving all the Lulas to Omega, because it's just, I'm here for the ride, and the ride is good. So you get the 10 Lulas.
There you go. And that's what's important. It's what it means to you. Clashing off the guns for a second there.
Come on, bang, bang.
I appreciate that, and I feel like it's really cool to see all of us have our different ways of delving in, and to me, like an 8 is like a very good score. I rarely give things very minimal scores, but that's because I'm very sensitive with my time and heart, but also I'm an emotional. You know me, I'm an emotional sponge. I'll sit in front of any old shit, and if I watch at least 5 minutes of a story, I find it very hard to not want to watch the rest of it, even if it's terrible, because I need to know.
And then it's Star Wars, and it's Star Wars to start off with. Come on now, it already has that leg up. Yeah. It's already something we love.
Let's have a good time.
Yeah,
it's just vibe.
Exactly.
Vibe with it. Come on.
All good. So we'll finish up with one last question from Brent, who says, so next week, do you think it's a first of 3 parts or a standalone with the 2-part finale?
I'm
going
option 2.
Option 2.
Yeah.
Claire, going option 2 as well?
I'm going to go option 2. I think this is going to set it. It's going to be the setup, and it's going to be 2 big bangers, but I don't think that they're going to be connected in like a
a little more separated.
Yeah, a little more separated.
I don't think it'll be like this episode, but but like not quite a 3, like to be continued.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot like the series 1 finale of Rebels, which kind of had 2 setup episodes, like call to action, and then the one where they go and find the info for Kanan, and then they go and get the stuff. So yeah. I do feel like it will be like an episode maybe where Crosshair gets involved next week, and then there's a cliffhanger, and then it's going to be a 2-part finale.
Yeah.
So that would be really interesting to see. No season 2 confirmation. Here we go. Yeah, no season 2 confirmation. I'm kind of glad we don't have that, because I feel like it adds a bit more tension, worry, flair.
How's it gonna end?
Yeah.
So I do expect them to do something similar to Loki, and also actually the Mandalorian season 2, which is have a announcement at the end of the show, because then that keeps you tuned in as well, as you should do for any of the credit stuff, like with Marvel.
Yeah, I feel like we sort of, because in the beginning or middle, we were still sort of like, I don't know, maybe it could wrap up. 16 episodes is a lot of episodes. Maybe it's just a one-off thing, but I think they've set up a lot.
Yeah,
they set up maybe too much to not have more. I think with Mama Syndulla, I think with Roland, I think with Rex. Yeah, it's just like there's just a lot of stuff left on the table, which again, could dovetail into new ways of showing those stories. But I feel like you've done it here, you may as well keep doing it. So I think that season 2 will happen.
Yeah, I fully expect the Star Wars Celebration style trailer where it's like, doom. Hello guys, it's me, Gregor. all these character reveals. Big bongo.
Oh my goodness.
Boba Fett. Doom. Like the quick shots, and then I'm Amika, I'm your sister. And I expect something along those lines. So I'm really excited for that. Yeah. Well, that's all we've got time for this week, but it's time for our favorite part of the episode, plugging on Pantora.
Leaving.
My favorite part. No longer having to talk to these two guys.
Well. It's plugging on Pantora, the part of the episode where we plug our shit. Pretty nice way, but I didn't. Who wants to go first? Why don't we do first? We'll do the podcast. This thing is going really slowly.
Yeah, we're getting some lag. Lag action.
Some lagtion.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go, yeah.
Right, there we go.
Sort of.
Well, that was not supposed to happen.
I don't even know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on either. Real.
Yo, pop off in the chat if weird shit's going on YouTube.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at ImpSenatPod and on Instagram at Imperial Senate Pod. We post all our updates and information there, particularly on Twitter, but we're going to be doing more on Instagram as well, so don't forget to check us out there. And we want to shout out about something particular. If you don't know, the show, the Imperial Senate Podcast, is a podcast itself. This is what we do when we have the shows. We go in and talk about the stuff on the shows. We've been having a breakup in doing audio content recently, but we'll be back very soon. But in the interim, our reviews have gone down a little bit. So we do want to ask if you can go off and give us some reviews, and if they happen to be 5 stars, we won't say no to that.
Mad about it.
We ain't mad about that. Particularly if you're in the UK, we currently have a 3.6 out of 5.
Come on, guy, what's that about?
Look at these recent reviews. Look at those. Look, they're pretty decent. They're saying they love us. So, you know what to do.
Done right.
That's what it's
but also,
about.
if you're Yeah.
We are asking you to potentially lie for us, and that's fine. That's fine.
Are we? Or are we just asking them to look into themselves and, like you said, cope with their arms, pull out the sinew, and throw it out there? Throw us what you truly mean, which is
they do all that. They're like 2 stars. I could have done this better. 2 stars.
Oh no.
Yeah. No. If you're hanging out here, if you like what we're doing, throw us that sweet little 5. It helps the show be in a better place, spiritually, ecumenically, all that good stuff. So yeah, just throw us the little 5 stars.
Also, you'll help Claire and Nicky out by not having me complain to them about having 3.6 star review on UK iTunes.
We don't have jurisdiction over that turf.
No, we don't.
You gotta go beat the people up over there.
All right, let's dive into our personal plugs. Up first, Nicky, where can people find you and your stuff?
Yeah, if you want to just catch my random ramblings again, Niquitious at Niquitious. There you go. As you see on the screen, it's my own Twitter account. I don't know what the vibe is there. Just have a good time. And then if you want to continue to contribute or join the contribution on the Patreon channel or Patreon account for Imperial Senate Podcast, I have the Sacred Jedi Bricks currently running, which is a fun show where we go through all the Lego Star Wars shows and sort of nerd out about just Lego stuff in general and the Star Wars sets and stuff. So my friend Reed and I do that. So you can check us out there. You can also check out the One and Done Film Club at N Done Show on Twitter. We got some cool episodes coming out. We just finished season 1. Most recent episode, as you can see, Star Wars prequel trilogy. Find out which prequel we watch. It's a good one. So we had a lot of fun making that episode. And then we have some cool off-season episodes. We released a statistics-based one where we go through the box office. We go through Rotten Tomato scores. We through our friend Reed's weird mathematical mind, determine what the best movie we watched was on all these metrics, and the answer will not surprise you. But yeah, it's a good time. You can check me, Reed, and Alden out on that, and then got some other cool stuff coming in the pipeline to be announced eventually. But yeah, thanks for being here with us.
Awesome. Claire, where can people find your stuff?
So, other than here, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at cstribs. Hey, there I am. You can catch me once a month on the Quick Shot team over at Broaxium. I've officially claimed the mantle of Dr. Aphra comic coverer, which when they asked me to do that, like, hey, do you want to read Dr. Aphra? Do you want to get the new Dr. Aphra comic early every month and like give a quick spoiler-free kind of preview to it? And I was like, yeah, duh. Of course I want to do that because she's awesome. She's great. We love Aphra. We stan Aphra in this house. So yes, I am super excited to be covering Aphra monthly with a new comic book of Aphra. And then this week I was also a guest on Knights of the Nerd Republic. So I got to talk to Jared and Connor. That's out today, so go check it out. My internet was bad, but it was a good time. So yeah, go check that out.
No, good shit. Those guys rock. So go give some love to Broaxium and the Knights.
I'm sure you'll be sharing that episode on
Twitter. Yes, it's a good place to find it.
Claire, you're also doing something else every week. Right?
Oh yeah! Wow, yeah. Every Tuesday night, I'm going to be streaming on. I'm currently on a break because it's not Tuesday night yet, but I'll be streaming. This week I'll probably be streaming Battlefront 2 again, but in the upcoming weeks, I've decided I'm gonna do like Twitter polls to see what you guys want me to play, and then we'll play it, and it'll be cool. It might not always be Star Wars, but for the most part, it's gonna be Star Wars. So yeah.
Plot
So
twist.
Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Just hang out. It was an awesome time last Tuesday. I had fun. I drank some wine, and I vibed with people, and it was good. It was good. It was good for the soul.
I ain't joining unless you play 5 hours of Viva Pinata.
Don't you tempt me, Nikki. Don't you tempt me. I'll do it. You better be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. So this is what we did last week.
Come on.
Here we go.
So every
Look at that render.
Hot.
Yeah, so we'll be doing that. You might have some other guests potentially.
Potentially, we'll have to
people
see.
Showing up if we would do
Familiar
it.
faces. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and don't forget on our Twitter for the Imperial Senate Podcast, we have a link tree with all links to everything, including everywhere you can find the podcast, all the Apple podcast links, whatever, blah 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 blah, Instagram, and everything you need to find us with. The Discord, we're gonna have a Discord link. And we're going to be doing more stuff on Discord. We're going to be doing some movie nights. And yeah, more stuff on there. We do a lot of specific sections of the Discord. Like Nikki, you can find Nikki always in the sports section of the Discord as we set up the Fantasy Premier League. Which me and Nikki have been working on something pretty cool recently, which we'll be revealing very soon.
Much exciting.
Great stuff. Great stuff coming.
Oh, I forgot to plug myself.
Yeah.
Shit.
Do it.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at CMWASHBY and on Instagram at CharlieMWAshby. You can support me on Patreon and Ko-fi, the links of which are available on my Twitter bio from my Linktree URL, which looks like this. And there you go. There's the link in case you need to see that. Everything you need to know, my commissions, my Patreon, Twitch, LinkedIn, blah, 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 blah. All there. Podcasts, including the Charlie Ashby Network, where I have different shows, including the Charlie Ashby Show, where I interview two amazing people, including Claire and Nikki. And I also have a show called Ponder Vision, where I do it with our good friend Ash from Rogue Podron, where we talk about the MCU. And we also have Batman Returns, in which me and Alden Diaz go through the different Batman films and give a little commentary, a little discussion about it. The last one we did was The Dark Knight Rises, which again is everyone's favorite Batman film. So don't forget to check that out. But we've got a lot of good ones on there. They're all available free now for you, by the way. All free on my little podcast feed. Well, that's all we've got time for this week. Anything else to say before we wrap up?
Keep it moist, y'all.
Thanks for hanging.
Yeah, keep it moist.
Thanks for listening to rants again. But we love you for it. Come on back.
Thank you for sticking with our self-indulgence. We'll be back next week.
Absolutely.
See you, everyone.
Bye.
Oh.
Countdown.
Countdown to the end.
Bonus episode. We're going to talk about it again, but backwards.